Now, I am a Virgo, and so I'm usually very grounded, usually very steady and stable. Well, there's a little bit of neuroticism, I think, with Virgos, so there is a bit of that. But I just wanted to kind of share some insights that I've been having with regards to my 12th house season. And so, if you are a fellow Leo rising, it is also likely your 12th house season, depending, of course, on the house system that you use. And 12th house season is when the sun passes through the 12th house. And again, it's going to depend on your rising sign. And the 12th house is the final of the houses, right? It's the last house. So there's sort of this process of undoing, of maybe discovering things that are hidden, things that are maybe more spiritual in nature, things that you can't really grasp very well, things that aren't very practical, right? All of this kind of fog, this kind of haze. That's what 12th house season really feels like to me. For me, it always happens in the summer, so I kind of get that opposite feeling that so many people experience in the winter, where they're sad in the winter. It's like me in the summer. I'm always sad in the summer because it's my 12th house season, especially in July. And now I'm rambling on and on. But recently I've found myself kind of just like immersed in the realms of fantasy and like escapism. I've always really liked to read books, and I always kind of have a tendency, especially at certain points, of kind of getting like lost in these grand tales, in these worlds. And there's this like really deep sort of feeling that I get from like reading things, or sometimes it even happens with like TV shows. I find it that it's more a rare experience with TV shows because I think books are sort of more immersive. But like with books especially, you get this sort of sense of like, it's like this sense of longing and this sense of grief over like not being able to experience something so fantastical, right? It's like all this cool stuff is happening in these books, and it's like very go go go, and there's this sense of adventure that you get with reading fantasy, and you just like don't get that as much of that in like mundane day-to-day life. And so there's this really just odd feeling that I get when I put down the book and I'm looking around and I'm like, oh my goodness, like, wow, this is so boring, sort of thing, right? And I do think, I mean, that obviously comes with like some privilege. Like, I think I'm privileged to have some mundaneness in my life. But I also think that this quality of things being extremely mundane is also just like a fundamental part of the human experience. But I find it so difficult sometimes to cope with it. And there's not really, like, I've kind of been looking into this, like looking into this feeling that people get and seeing if other people experience the sort of same sensation that I'm speaking of. And there's not really, I can't really find that much on it. And I don't necessarily know why that is, but there is this kind of one word that I stumbled across, and I thought I'd share it because why not? It's a Welsh word, and so I'm probably going to butcher the pronunciation, but it's called hiraeth or hiraeth, and it essentially means a homesickness for a home to which you cannot return, a home which maybe never was, the nostalgia, the yearning, the grief for the lost places of your past. And I think that this word is probably the closest word that I can use to describe this feeling or this sensation. It's like this, it's just so overwhelming sometimes, and it's just so strange how we get wrapped up in these other worlds so easily, and then we have to come back here, and it's like there's so much grief and so much just heaviness in the quote-unquote real world. But yeah, I don't know. I think as well with this, just with this Capricorn full moon that's happening, it is calling me to maybe set some boundaries with my propensity for escapism, and to just like be present with that sense of longing and nostalgia for places that I've never been, or maybe never will be. I don't know. It's hard to describe this experience, but let me know if you feel a similar way, or if you also have experienced something similar to this, especially like if you know anything about astrology, you know, tell me what, season it is for you, house season it is, what your placements are, and I'd like to know if people have a similar experience to me. So, yeah, let me know.